Right. So human-computer interaction for the HCI. So in this chapter, this is chapter one and introduction. So we're dealing with we will know more deeper what is human-computer interaction is all about. So in this chapter, we will be discussing what is HCI, why is it important, its principles. So actually, there are seven principles. One is know the user, understand the task, reduce memory load, strive for consistency, remind users and refresh their memory, prevent errors or reversal of action, and then naturalness. So these are the seven principles of HCI that we're going to discuss by detail as we go along with our discussion. So what is HCI? So HCI stands for Human Computer Interaction. So it states here it's a discipline that deals with the theory, design, implementation, and evaluation of the ways that humans use and interact with computing devices. So class, it is the studies, it studies the design and use of computer technology. So a main focus then in MIA class is on the interfaces between people and computers. So unsa man siyang interfaces or the interface. Mao na siya ang medium in which communication between human and computer takes place. So dani na itong makita, malocate ang communication between sa human and the computer. Then next is characterized as a dialogue or interchange between the human and the computer because the output of one serves as the input for the other in exchange of actions and intentions. So it is the study of interaction between users and the computers. So here it's how people interact with computers. So as as its name implies class HCI consists of three parts. So we have the user, the computer, and the interaction. So when you say user class, it's individual user or a group of users working together. And then when we say computer, when we talk about computer, we're referring to any technology ranging from desktop computers to large-scale computer systems. So for example, if we're discussing the design of a website, so then the website itself would be the would be referred to as the computer. Devices such as mobile phones can be considered as the computer. So when we talk about now the interaction, it attempts to ensure that they both get on with each other and interact successfully. So meaning interaction, mo siya ang ways of it's the way of how they work together. Mo na siya ang interaction. So basically, plus human HCI or human computer interaction. So uh, ato lang timailanan ni is that it's interaction between human and the computer. So mana siya ang basic concept sa human-computer interface. HCI is an interdisciplinary field in which computer scientists, engineers, psychologists, social scientists, and design professionals play important roles. So as you can see here in the figure, HCI can be applied in different fields like information security, engineering, design, psychology, and in any other um, field. That's why HCI is an interdisciplinary field. Then, the knowledge gained from this study is used to create information systems and work environments which help to make people more productive and more satisfied with their work life. So meaning so when you study HCI, it can help people to be more productive, like creating new information, creating new products, creating new inventions that will make their life easier, that will make the satisfy their work life. So we have here some terminologies to study. So first, interaction. refers to an abstract model by which humans interact with a computing device for a given task. So, meaning it's the conversation between human and the computer. Then we have the interface. It's a choice of technical realization. It may be hardware or software of such a given interaction model. So mao to akong gingon ganiya, it's a medium where the communication takes place between human and the computer. So here, the letter I in HCI refers to both interaction and interface, encompassing the abstract model and technological methodology. So as you can see here in the figure, it surrounds the interaction and the interfaces. So for example, if you're trying to work with Microsoft Word, so kung naka-encode, so what you need the interface. So for interface software, you need the Microsoft Word, no? For you to work on. So para na kay imong mga communication na makuan translate sa interface, you need the also the hardware. So mga mouse, mga keyboard for you to interact sa interface. So those are the tasks for for data entry, for manipulation and navigation and others. So mao na siya ang concept between this figure. The letter I in HCI refers to both interaction and the interface. Then we have the interactive system. So interactive system composed of interaction devices, user interfaces, responsive software. So as you can see in the figure, the human interact with the computer. So para maka-interact siya, you need these interaction devices like the mouse, the keyboard, then you have also your user interfaces and the responsive software. So mga responsive software katong mo response sa human needs. Alright. So next is user interface refers the medium through which a communication between human and computer takes place. So actions here are translated into instructions that are comprehensible for the computer. So just like what I told a while ago, no, kung magamit ka Microsoft Word na kay code, no, in this example, money mo interface the Microsoft Word. So whatever you type in the keyboard, so mo reflect siya sa imong interface. So masabtan din siya, i-translate din niya into instruction in which masabtan sa computer. So mao na siya kuan sa interface. Then it's part of an interactive system that represents its internal state on output peripherals and captures and manages input from input peripherals. So, mao to siya, no, it composed of interactive system. So, katong tulo, the user interfaces, the mga interactive devices, and the responsive system. Then, graphical user interface or the GUI is an interface that uses output peripherals and some input peripherals and provide relative positions with respect to the output peripherals. So, ang kining GUI is a subset of interface. So, unsa may mga example ng GUI?
Important
Like, kaning mga
design
icons.
design,
Like, kaning icons sa mga desktop. So, kaning
it is a
sila.
multi-objective.
So, mga sila mga sample na mga
There are
GUI.
many things to
Mga
consider,
icons,
such as the types of users,
mga
characteristics of the task,
mga pointers, mga windows,
devices,
mga na siya mga
and so
graphical
on. So
user
that's why,
interface.
Researchers and
Then,
developers in the field have accumulated
high usability. It
basic
means that the
principles
resulting
for good
interfaces
HCI
are easy to
in
use,
hopes of achieving
efficient
some
for
of
the
the
task,
needs.
ensure safety, and lead
So we
to
have
accurate
here
completion of the task.
provide a
Matarget
short
din naman siya
review
ng
of
mga
the
requirements.
HCI
So meaning
principles.
your interface
One
or
here
interface
is
is
know
with
the
high
user,
usability.
the user. So it is simply states that the
So, in
interaction
general,
and
the
interface
focus of
it
HCI
caters
is
to the
on the
needs
design,
and capabilities of the
implementation,
target
and
users of the
evaluation of
system and
interactive
design. So you
computer-based
have to
system
know your
for
users'
human
needs
use.
and
So, it ensures
capabilities.
safety, utility, effectiveness, efficiency,
So
accessibility,
examples,
and
no, in this
usability
web
of
page,
systems,
you can
which is
see
the focal
this
concern
is
of
a user-centered
HCI.
design
And then
support
it also concerned
pages
about
for
with multidisciplinary
and then
study of
over
various
this,
issues
as you notice,
affecting this
hindi pa siya
interaction.
maklaro. Sorry,
So,
hindi siya maklaro.
muna siya
So,
ang
but as you can
HCI.
see here
Then,
in the left
let's
side,
proceed to the next,
it's
no? So,
intended
why
for
is it
kids
important?
web page. No? So,
Okay, we have discussed
kung imong
already
target is for kids, of course, your
the
content should be
definition
with
of HCI.
kids.
Now we'll
And
proceed with
likewise with this,
the
on the
importance of
right
it.
side,
So we have listed
it is
some
for elderly
importance
people.
of
So,
HCI. So
the
one
target is
is
for
it enables us to
elderly,
design
so
interactive
that content
products
should
to
be
support people
focused or
in their
one that is
everyday and working lives. So
with
meaning,
in line with elderly
excuse,
needs.
um, it helps us to create or innovate some new
So two
products
different
to support
interfaces to
to give
achieve
make our
universal
life easy,
stability.
especially
So
in our everyday and working
uh,
lives. It
usually,
also
no,
develop usable
universal
products
usability
that
is achieved by
are easy to
justifying
learn,
the
effective to
required
use,
to
and
separate
provide an enjoyable
interfaces for
experience.
distinct user groups. So,
So
for
there is a
example,
lot of
sa
design
other countries,
about it
many
can cause
government
problems for
web pages now
users.
are
So that's
legally
why
required to provide
ACI helps to
interfaces in
address
different
these
languages
problems
and for colorblind
to
and visually challenged
para
users.
dili na siya
So, kung
mag-create of problems for the
um,
users.
ang mga
Good
kuan
design
karon mga
involves
example ng mga
understanding how
web
users
pages na naslay
interact
mga
with computers
na-provide na
and
sila other
enabling
languages
them to do so
kung di ka
effectively.
sabot og English or
So
other
aside from that,
language,
it
pwede nimo siya
increased participation,
ma-set to
meaning
other
it
language,
ensures
no? If
interfaces
nakabantay mo
and
sa
systems
Google,
that
so pwede nimo siya
are
ma-set to
accessible.
Filipino
So if
kung hindi ka
accessible ang
comfortable sa
imong
English.
interfaces and system,
So,
meaning
likewise for
daghan
sa
imong
mga
participant.
colorblind
So it
and visually
increased participation of
challenged
users.
na mga users.
And then HCI allow users to carry out
And
tasks
then
safely, effectively,
it is an
efficiently, and
interface providing
enjoyably.
both menus for novice
So improve
users
our
and
HCI design
hotkeys for
and
expert
evaluation
users.
skills.
So if you're new to the website, they
So
provide
we have also bad
here,
user
no? For example, ganito
interfaces. So
it
there are
provide
consequences
menus
of bad user
for
interfaces.
the
It may
novice or
cause
the new users. But
to need
if
more
you're an
time
expert
for
already, you already
performing
know
tasks,
what are
make
the
more
hotkeys to use, so
errors,
you
and
can
feel
proceed right away without uh, going to the
dissatisfied.
menus.
So kung bad
So,
imong user
so
interface,
that is the
that would mean
first
there's a lot of
principle, know
it
the
takes
users.
time for
So you have
user to
to
perform their
to
task,
know your
and
users,
it is more
the
prone
needs,
to
the
errors,
target
no?
users'
And
needs and
then that will lead
capabilities.
to dissatisfaction of feeling. Then poor design limits the actual usage of the system, meaning some poor design, so there would be no full uh, uh, usage of the system because it's just limited because of the poor design. And then the worst case would be the system might not be used at all, so it might be useless anymore. Yes, to avoid problematic design, we need to consider some things. So you have to take into account that who the users are, no? And then what activities are being carried out, and then where the interaction is taking place. And then you have to optimize the interactions user have with a product such that they match users' activities and needs. So you have to make the best of the interactions to match the user's activities and needs. So that's no, then we have some goals of HCI. So actually we have four goals of HCI. So one is it should be a functional completeness. It has a functional completeness, meaning just like in the figure A, the camera is the product. The product is the camera, and then um, to have a functional completeness, of course, it should function the function all the uh, um, go and function should be operational. So meaning it can share, it can edit pictures or videos. So dapat full functional iyang operation. And then next is high usability. So we have already discussed the high usability now. So it is easy to use. So all user um, makabalo gamit. So because of it's easy to use or user friendly. Then we have the aesthetic appeal. So meaning your product is unique from the rest. It should stand out, no? So because of its aesthetic appeal. Then last is its compelling user experience. So it should be interactive, no interactive user experience, just like what makita niyo dali sa kuan sa figure D. So these are the goals of HCI. We have functional completeness, high usability, aesthetic appeal, and compelling user experience.
Okay, let's proceed with the principles of HCI. So despite of its importance, good HCI design is generally difficult because it is a multi-objective. So there are many things to consider, such as the types of users, characteristics of the task, capabilities and cost of the devices, and so on. So that's why researchers and developers in the field have accumulated basic principles for good HCI designs in hopes of achieving some of the main objectives. So we have here provide a short review of the main HCI principles. So one here is um, know the user. So it is simply states that the interaction and interface should cater to the needs and capabilities of the target users of the system in design. So you have to know your users' needs and capabilities. So examples, no, in this web page, as you can see, this is a user-centered designs of the web pages for kids and the elderly. As you notice, kung di pa kayo siya maklaro, sorry kayo di kayo siya maklaro. So, but as you can see here in the left side, it's intended for kids web page. No? So, kung imong target is for kids, of course, your content should be with kids. And likewise with this, on the right side, it is for elderly people. So the target is for elderly, so the content should be focused or one should be with in line with elderly needs. So two different interfaces to achieve universal stability. So uh, usually, no, universal usability is achieved by justifying the required to separate interfaces for distinct user groups. So, for example, sa other countries, many government web pages now are legally required to provide interfaces in different languages and for colorblind and visually challenged users. So, kung um, ang mga kuan karon mga example ng mga web pages na naslay mga na-provide na sila other languages kung di ka pa sabot og English or other language pwede nimo siya ma-set to other language no if nakabantay mo sa Google so pwede nimo siya ma-set to Filipino kung hindi ka comfortable sa English. So, likewise for sa mga colorblind and visually challenged na mga users. And then it is an interface providing both menus for novice users and hotkeys for expert users. So, if you're new to the website, they provide here, no, for example, dyan is a figure, it provide menus for the novice or the new users. But if you're an expert already, you already know what are the hotkeys to use, so you can proceed right away without going to the menus. So, so that is the First, principle, know the users. So you have to to know your users, the needs, the target users' needs and capabilities.
For the second principle, understand the task. So the term task refers to the job to be accomplished by the user through the use of interactive system. So it boils down to identifying the sequence and structure of subtasks as an abstraction level appropriate for the typical user within the larger application context. So meaning here you have to understand kung unsay task sa imong mga user na to accomplish by through the use of interactive system. And then after understanding mo, so you have to identify ang mga sequence niya and the structure of the subtask na imong i-assign sa taga users. So from paraan ni, so two interaction models at different levels of detail for the task of connecting to the internet from a smartphone depending on the user type. So here sa ani na figure, so ang ilang task is to connect to the internet from a smartphone. So since we have two user ani, we have the novice or the new one user or the casual user, and we have the expert. So different ilang task, no, ilang kuan ani. So for an expert, so kani sa expert, kuan man siya, expert naman siya sa mga computer network. So the task must be might be with detailed steps. So detailed iyang steps, no, to connect. So dagan pa iyang agian from internet browser, mag-set up siya LAN, then select kung unsa na access point, then ahiya then mag kanang enter password, and then i-identify pa niya kung from selecting nearby access point, i-identify pa niya, no, kung unsa yung signal, kung bandwidth niya sa kuan wifi, or then ang mga security level, and so og uban pa wala ang task sa mga expert sa na user. And for on the other hand, no, for a casual user or the novice user, that subtask might only involve entering a password only for automatically selected access point. So mao na yung task sa kuan mga casual user. So different users will have different models of the task at hand. So that's why kana siya mas reflect na siya sa structure sa inyong interface to simplify implementation for all the users. So you have to first to know to understand the task for each user nimo sa imong interface. So mao na siya ang concept behind the principle of understand the task.
Okay, for the third principle, we have reduce memory load. So it refers to the designing interaction with as little memory load as possible. So light memory burden also leads to less erroneous behavior. So this fact is well applied to interface design, for example, in keeping the number of menu items or depth to less than this amount to maintain good user awareness of the ongoing task, or in providing reminders and status information continuously throughout the interaction. So here, it requires less memory burden for the user in carrying out the task given. So it makes the user interface role as quick and easy guidance to completion of the task. So mas mapadali iyang trabaho sa isa ka user when this memory when we reduce the memory load. Just like for example, no, this one uh, he interfaces and this interfaces designed for minimal short-term memory. So a menu system with fewer than 10 items here, as you can see,
and B for categorization by colors, na-categorize siya by colors or yes, icons and label. So, from dani na figure, so makategorize nimo siya kung unsa na mga application ang pwede nimo kung pwede ang mabutang. So mas less ang imong burden kung unsa to na kuha na imong nagamit. So pwede ra nimo mabutang dani sa interface. So for example, sa kuan dani sa imong start. So kung mangita ka kato na application, pwede na siya nimo ni siya makategorize according sa imong ginagamit, usual na ginagamit para mas padali imong trabaho while compare na pangitaon pa nimo asa siya nakuan, no? So pwede ra makategorize. Pwede kanimo siya daning ma-search. So for another example, dani sa Word, for instance lugar no, na kay balikan na trabaho. Well, nalimot ka kung asa nimo na save to. So what you will do is locate here sa open, then recent documents. So pwede ra nimo dani makita kung asa to imong mga recent documents na ginahimo. So from this, so ma-lessen jud ang kuno, mas mapadali imong trabaho by not madili ma-consume imong time sa pagpangita kung asa to nimo na save na documents. So that is the principle of reduced memory load. So mo na siya. Okay, for the fourth principle, we have strive for consistency. So one way to unburden the memory load is to keep consistency. So this applies to both within an application and across different applications, and both the interaction model and the interface implementation. So you have to be consistent sa imong mga design also para ma-less ang memory load sa mga users. So a consistent look of the interface within an application, then a consistent interface between Microsoft PowerPoint and Word. So meaning the user can really identify kung kani siya na application is ma-identify na niya diretso kung unsa ni siya na application, no? Kung for example kani siya na mga application, so by looking at the design, so makaingon ka na same lang ni siya application though different iyang functions. So for example, like sa Microsoft, when we try to open the Microsoft Word, so mo ni siya iyang design. So sa Microsoft Word, then when mag-open tag Excel, so makaingon tag Microsoft dapat siya na Office. So the same application though they have different functions. So ang somewhat similar iyang mga design sa iyang interface. So in that way, it will less the burden for the memory for the user or the human. So mo na siya ang principle sa kuan sa ito na principle, they strive for consistency. Okay, for the fifth principle, we have remind users and refresh their memory. So employee interfaces that give continuous reminders of important information and thereby refresh the user's memory. So to maintain the user's awareness of the situation and further elicit correct responses, informative, momentary, or continuous feedback will refresh the user's memory and help the user complete the task easily. So for example, so one particular type of informative feedback here is the reaffirmation of the user action to signal the closure of a larger process. So here, as you can see here, ang kanina principle, mag-remind siya sa user or give reminder, no, para kuan ma-aware siya na naay day task ani siya na kuan to complete. So for example ani your order mag-shop ka online. So your order is complete. So an email is being sent to you to confirm your order. So ma-remind din ka ani na you need to go to your email to confirm your order. So mo na siya ang concept sa kuan sa remind user and refresh their memory. So aside another example is that kanang bitong mag mag-shop ka, mag-online. So for example ani. So di ba first lang nimo ni siya kuan na kani siya imong details. So whenever mag-order na pug kag lahi for the sa pwede man next month or next day mag-order na pud ka, so dili na ka kailangan mag-input sa imong mga details. So pwede naman nimo siya ma-use sa nimo mong delivery address. So in that case lesson na ang kuan your ma-refresh na imong memory or ma-remind na ang users. So dili na siya kailangan og mag-input na pud balik. So the same as the case dito sa kuan sa Dani. Kung na-complete na imong order, mag-email lang siya, oy, you need to confirm your order sa imong email. So this is one example of informative feedback. Okay. So that is principle of remind users and refresh their memory. For the sixth principle, we have prevent errors or reversal of action. So the interaction and interface should be designed to avoid confusion and mental overload. So one effective technique is to present or solicit only the relevant information or action as required at a given time. So this principle, it will prevent errors or reverse an action. So for example, here in this figure, sorry, gonna in Chinese yung character, no? But anyway, I'll explain it. So this one, preventing errors by presenting only the relevant information at a given time. So, kung unsa lang ang pwede nimo ma-allow na task, so maura siya ang naka-activate. So, while kung katong uban na dili ka i-allow, so naka-inactivate siya ng mga menus. So, mao na siya ang preventing errors para dili ka maka-click sa uban. So, kato lang na allowed na mga menus ang naka-active. So, and making selections rather than enforcing recall or full manual input or specification. So, just like here also, no, sa PDF Dani. So, ang ma-allow lang is kuan. So, di ka maka-allow naka-undo or cut, copy. So, can only have this naka-active na mga menus. So, and the rest, ang uban, naka-inactive. So, mao na siya ang prevent errors. Then, next is making the user comfortable by always allowing an easy reversal of action. So, mana siya, i-reverse nimo ang action like undo. Sa Word, iba na tayo mga na undo nimo na task. So pwede ra nimo i-click kung undo na typing. So ang uban so mao na siya ang reverse action. So pwede ra nimo undo ang imong mga task. For the last principle, we have naturalness. So this refers to a trait that is reflective of various operations in our everyday life. So perhaps a better approach is to model interaction metaphorically to the real life counterpart, extracting the conceptual and abstract essence of the task. So here, for instance, a perfect HCI may one day be realized that when natural language-based conversational interface is possible kung magamit kung or sa ato kung sa isa ka interface magamitan natog language na Bisaya. So so eh, so this is good kay mao man na siya ang way humans or atong mga Bisaya mag-communicate na sa uban sa atong everyday life. But however, it can be tricky to translate this real lifestyle, no? Kani siya na latong language into interaction or for the interaction with a computer. So di siya masabtan sa computer ang atong language. So that means dili siya maka-communicate. So in order for a computer to communicate, so perhaps a better approach is to model interaction with a metaphoric. So magamit ka og metaphor to a real life counterpart. So it's a symbol of another thing. So for instance here, we have an ARC ball. So para ma-rotate din mo siya, so you have to um, overlay by enclosed sphere. Enclosed sphere para kuan. So that the user will just drag on the surface of the sphere to rotate the object inside. Para kuan sa ma-rotate, so i-drag lang nimo siya ang sphere na i-overlay nimo. So that is the concept of metaphor. So you are using another symbol or another kuan, another object to rotate the ERC ball. So that's the principle of naturalness. So it uses the metaphoric method in order to kan siya, to rotate the object. So we have so I think that's the last principles of HCI. So to um, to recap, no, the principles we have first the know the user. One is know the user. Second is understand the task. Third would be reduce memory load. Then fourth is strive for consistency. And then fifth is remind users and refresh their memory. And then sixth is prevent errors or reversal action. And last is the naturalness. I think that's the end of our discussion for chapter 1. So to summarize, so in this chapter, we have introduced the field of HCI. No? So we have discussed the objective and importance. We have also reviewed some of the main high-level principles of HCI and presented some relevant examples. So in chapters 2 and 3, we take a look at these guidelines and theories respectively, as they are essential knowledge required for the HCI design process, which will begin to address in chapter 4. So thank you for your participation.